Come on, there we go.
Welcome to Roots and Wings. I am Jennifer He,
David
and
Solomon.
today we are going to talk about solving the right problem. How did we
Folks,
start with this conversation, David?
yeah. We are fumbling and bumbling already. Can we just solve the problem? Folks, I got to tell you, Jennifer and I talk a lot about sales and marketing, and what we do is we always go back to the really beginning of the conversation. Is so what we both ask our clients: what problem are you solving? Because it's just to say that I've got the greatest product or service in the world. Okay, but the reality is, if we don't solve a problem for our customers, they will go somewhere else. They'll
Mhm.
find something better, faster, cheaper. You don't even have to go to that, because if you solve the problem for them, Jennifer, the price won't matter as much and other things won't matter as much because you've solved their problem.
Mhm.
So I'd love in this episode for us to talk a little bit about how critical solving the customer problem is. The first step in our growth journey is solving that problem. So Jennifer, what have you seen in your experience from a marketer, how important that is?
Um, you know, uh, I've seen a lot of cases where business owners they don't have a value proposition. I understand, this is a term, right? So I teach value proposition at Women Business Enterprise Council Canada. So
Mhm.
there are four components in the value proposition. Why is it important? Is you need to be very clear in your communication, and everybody has a problem. Everybody is busy with their own things, with the life that they're dealing with, and nobody has time to listen to your little time to listen to your passion if it does not relate to them. That's why we say, okay, what problem are you solving for whom um, is important, and what is your solution, and how you are different. So those are the four components in a value proposition. Let's talk about problems. Um, and also, you need to solve the right problems, not the wrong problems. And that's for, yeah, I actually, I have a story, and I told David, David was blown away when I told him the story.
Well, before we get to the surgery of our level, we just want to share with everybody, because one of the things we say value proposition, all these kinds of things, and I think that as a business owner, you launched your business, you bought this business, you're doing something in your business because you believed you had something that the customer wanted, and better, faster, smaller, bigger, you solved something for them. Because what I used to tell, and I was in the newspaper business, Jennifer. I ran an advertising team for 12 years, and what I used to tell the clients was, unless you're selling food and drink, there's nothing we need in life. Don't need. All right. We want more clothing. We want more stuff. We want a bigger house. It's all about the want. So now we're in a crowded field. Okay. And even in the food sector, right? You know, when you think about it, we need to eat. There's the grocery stores, there are the restaurants, there's now Uber Eats. Da, da, da. You've got a whole slew of people in the need department and the want department. So what problem am I solving? And I use Uber as a great example. Uber solved the problem of restaurants unwilling to hire full-time delivery people. Like, think about it. Uber, you're paying more. We're paying more. We're asking for them the convenience of delivering the food to my home. I mean, even McDonald's coffee is delivered by Uber Eats. We're paying because there's some inconvenience. So the pain, and you might say that's not a pain. That's a luxury. But to a consumer, that pain point is, I want a Starbucks coffee. I don't have time to go out and get it. I press a button, it's delivered to my home. Okay, not something I want. I don't know about you, Jennifer, but I don't do that. But that's the pain point. And when I go back to my advertising days, I used to tell my clients, and I used to tell our clients from the advertising, what problem are you solving with your product and service so that the consumers will choose you and not your competitors?
Mhm.
Okay. And I think that if you solve that problem, you make their experience better, their journeys better, and they're going to want to come back to you. Now, you and I talked about offline about an airport experience. Now, this is in a grand scale, but we can really bring it down to any business. But Jennifer, share your airport experience because I think that is just to show you how
Yeah,
someone missed solving
yeah,
the pain point.
yeah. So that story is not about they don't have a problem. That story is they have the wrong problem because they didn't do their due diligence. Okay, so this is a story, told to me from a good friend and also a um, my teacher in service design. So it's a story of a German airport. When they were working on the airport experiences, um, they found that a group of older travelers, elders, they went to washroom more frequently. So I asked David a question like, why do you think that is? And we asked a lot of people, almost all of them, answer the question because of the biological reasons, right? You need to go to the washroom more often comparing to younger people. So turned out it is the physical part, but not in the part that we thought about.
I'm laughing. I love this story.
So imagine if you think the reason is, they need to pee more, uh, and the solution can be, we're going to expand the washroom, right? Build more stalls. So turned out, wait for this. The problem is in washrooms, they could listen to the airport broadcast better and clearer.
So imagine you're going to
That
the bathroom
problem,
more,
your solution
you're
will be
going to the
different.
bathroom more frequently so you can hear the announcements, but not use
Yes.
the facilities.
Yes. So
Yeah, that's a
that's why
great.
we say finding like defining the right problem is very, very important because imagine the cost going
Sure.
to renovating those washrooms.
I'll tell you a story, but a little more that our maybe our listeners and our viewers can kind of understand a little bit more. There's a community here in Montreal. It is age wise, and it just happens to relate a little bit to your story. They're age wise the oldest citizens in Canada on average. That's that community there. And so there is a large grocery store, and about 2 blocks away, there's a small little grocery store, very small. The large one, major chain, wide aisles,
Mhm.
bright lights, big carts, unbelievable. Okay. But they have when I was a kid, every grocery store used to have a service to bring your groceries to your car. Those are gone. Those days are gone, except at
Mhm.
that one store. Because again, you're talking about the age group, it makes a lot of sense. But then this little grocery store at the corner, poor lighting, lousy aisles,
Mhm.
old carts, like you get, I mean, and yet that guy is packed all the time. What was the key? And
Yeah,
I asked
I'm
my MBA,
wondering about that.
I asked my MBA students, I go, so why are so many people going to this little store where
Yeah,
there's no
the
parking?
underdog.
I forgot to mention terrible parking, terrible lighting, not wide aisles versus going to this major chain.
Mhm.
And the answer was when you walked into the store, what they used to do is they would, the big key for them was they didn't just put the stuff in your car. They deliver the goods to your home. And because these are older folks, they solved a problem. They charge more. They have great quality fruits, they've got great quality stuff, and they charge more than the big grocery store because they delivered to these people directly to their home, into their kitchens. Whereas the big guy will put in the car for older people getting that into their home. So imagine you're paying more. It's not the greatest of shopping experiences, but they
Mm-hmm.
solve the problem of delivering it directly to their home. And
Mm-hmm.
that, folks, is why this grocery store has been around for decades. And I think that this, Jennifer, is something that our business owners need to take painstaking approach and saying, let's go down. We need to break down our product or our service to such a fine point so that we can scream and yell and communicate. What are we solving? Maybe not so
Mm-hmm.
subtly, but people will understand what we're delivering. And I think that your airport story, while amusing, shows that if you tackle the wrong problem, it's going to cost you a
Mm-hmm.
fortune and you're going to lose out. But if you
Yeah.
do your homework, Jennifer, and you've done this, we've talked about research. Like, if I were a business owner, how should I discover what problem I'm really solving?
Um, wow, this is a loaded question. Because first you need to define, whom, like you're right. So if we do research, we need to find a group of people, and I
Mhm.
think this justifies another episode, right? Because
100%,
are we
100%.
are
But I'm
we
gonna,
maximizing people's attention? So
but
let's let's talk about that in our next episode.
but I wanted to, I agree with you, but I want to tell you something. 'Cause one of the things that is critical, and I tell this to my clients, is you already have customers, right? Yeah. Ask them.
Yeah, it's that
Ask.
easy. Ask them.
Okay. Research, and we'll talk about the perils of research in more elaborate in another episode. But I think that you've already made sales, you've already solved the problem, people are coming back. Ask them. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Now, I know you're going to say to me, David, enough with surveys. I'm so sick and tired of surveys. If
That's
you're
not
sick,
what we're talking about.
if you're sick and tired of a survey, you're not happy with that.
Hmm.
If you're happy with something, you're willing to share with the business owner that you're happy with and why.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I would absolutely ask my customers. But you know what, Jennifer? So let's shift a little bit then, and let's talk about. So I have the problem. Okay, now I know what problem we're solving. What's next? What should I be doing next as a business owner?
Oh, if we figure out the problem we're solving for whom, then you need to be very clear about your solution. When we say solution, it's your offering, whether it's a service or a product, right? You need to work on the solution and make it tangible so that people can feel it, they can see it, and you give them a reason to buy.
But I think let's go back a step because you said for whom. So I know we'll talk about how to define whom in another episode because that's again a very elaborate conversation. But I think the key here is what, and I remember again, I'll go back to a little anecdote, a little story. When I went to when I used to go with my salespeople and the advertising, the newspaper, we used to ask the customers, so who are your customers? Because we want to make sure that the message we deliver in our advertising fits the profile of the individual you want to reach. And every time someone said to me, well, it's everybody. And I went, no, it can't be everybody.
It can be.
Please, it can't be everybody. And one of my favorite stories is there's a chain of outdoor products,
Mhm.
garden, pool, accessories, you name it.
Mhm.
And they said, everybody's a customer.
Mhm.
And I went, well, no, that can't be right.
Mhm.
I wasn't that direct, but in my
Mhm.
head, I was like, that can't be right. So I
Mhm.
said, okay, but let me ask the question. So if I live in an apartment, am I your customer? Well, no, you wouldn't. Okay. If I live in a condo, am I your? No, I'm okay. Um, if I don't have a backyard, I have a home, but I don't have a backyard. I have a town. So once I started asking the questions, they went, Okay, no, you're right. It isn't everybody. And we started to finally define who we're trying to target.
Hmm.
Because when you say everybody, again, the only thing you could say that everybody needs is food, right?
Hmm.
You need food and drink.
Yeah.
But even then,
Even then, what kind of food?
what,
I,
what
I think
exactly?
the part everybody is, once people say that everybody, I think um, they are right, but they're right in the sense that we shouldn't focus on the demographics, right? We should focus on the common problems people have. For instance, if we say food is for everybody, then why do you purchase this food? To say, okay, I only provide meat. That's an example, right?
Yeah.
So meat, everybody needs that, and that is everybody. But then your angle is, people who like that certain kind of meat, so that you have a description, like people like this kind of meat,
Well
right? So
said.
that's not everybody.
No, and I'll tell you, there are three things I tell, and I go, I'm going to bring back often with my students because they remind me every time I go back and I teach in the fall.
Mhm.
Jennifer, I go back and remember the basics because I got to I go back to square one with them all the time. It's refreshing, by the way, guys. I got to tell you, I can't tell you how much I enjoy those first few classes where I'm reminded of what it takes to get to the top. And one of my things I tell them is there are three things that you've got to remember when you're targeting: demographics, geographics, psychographics. And I know that this is these are I get the terms, but demographics are easy, folks. You go online, whether it's Census Canada or if you're in the United States, you can go to the US government and information about that neighborhood. It's there, it's free. Homeowners, age group, gender,
Mhm.
income levels, it's all there. So if you want to sell, and Jennifer talked about high ticket items, and you want to sell it in a certain neighborhood, it's easy to identify that. That will be really simple in terms of the demographics. The geographics could be the geography of where you are going to give your delivery or service or what have you. But the psychographics is why they buy it. And it goes back to what I talked about the grocery stores. Why are they buying from you? What is the trigger that is saying, that's my aha moment as a consumer or a customer to say, I'm going to consume or I'm going to buy from you because we have an abundance of choices. It's not that you're the exclusivity. Nobody has a monopoly.
Mhm.
I don't care what you sell. Cars are the same thing. It's like, one of the experiences that I don't like, and Jennifer, I'd love to hear your comment about that. And I just went through this with my wife and myself. We needed our leases on our cars were done. It happened to be the same time. Bad experience, folks. Don't go shopping for two cars at the same time. But I had two different experiences. One where with my wife, they just feature dumped. We walk in and I say, they didn't ask me what I need the car for. It's okay, what are you looking for? Not even why. I said, oh, we're looking for an SUV. Oh, goody, this one has that, and they're throwing out features like confetti, and we're like, and I'm thinking again, typical sales guy, you're making me do the work. You're making me figure out which of those features is important for me. I knew what was important for my wife: 7 seats. And had they asked that question, we would have narrowed down the path. We had one sales guy do that. One sales guy come up to her and say, what are you looking for? What's the most important thing for you in a car? And guess what? That's where we ended up getting the car because that person pinpointed it perfectly. And so to me, when I hear salespeople try to feature dump me and make me, you're not distinguishing yourself. You're
Mhm.
not putting yourself in a position of, I need to come back to you. And I know you don't buy a car every day,
Mhm.
but think about every experience we have as consumers,
Mhm.
everywhere we go, we have to do the work.
Mhm.
From a marketer, Jennifer, let me ask you this question. What have you seen where that mistake, like that, like or a solution where, this is, guys, take this approach, please, from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, I think what I've heard is, it's an internal communication issue, because marketing's job is to drive traffic to the car dealership, right, to the car store.
Mhm.
Then the sales guys, they should be very clear about the value proposition. Then in sales, it's closing the deal. So you touch upon the sales techniques, but I think one thing, from my perspective, from what I just heard from you, is they were not very clear about the value proposition. Um, right? So then, yeah, if they're selling you feature, but then what are the benefits? What is the value? And so when we say value, yeah, this can be another episode, right? The functional, the emotional, the societal, right? So then your we say sales is you deliver the conversion. Then you know uh, first you need to be very clear about the value, then use your sales technique to close that deal. So they
And
didn't close you at all.
the
um,
funny thing is, you said something very
the value
interesting.
proposition wasn't clear.
You say close the deal. The reality is, if you prepare yourself properly with solving the problem, doing the right presentation,
Hmm.
it closes by itself.
Hmm.
It should close by itself. You don't need to use a closing technique, okay? Because if you need a technique, something along the way you didn't address, and it's the pain point. To me, it's 100%. If you don't address the pain point in a way that the buyer is interested,
Hmm.
then you can't close.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
closing will come when buyer and salesperson, they connect. They have that clear understanding of the pain point,
Hmm.
and you're able to deliver it in, as you said, in the value, in its value. And I don't want to sound too formal, educational, MBA-esque, folks. I don't want you to feel that that's what I'm trying to get at here. But if you think about it, as our journeys, when we go buying, we want to buy because we don't want to be sold. We want to buy.
Hmm.
We don't want to be sold. And so if the person at the other end is listening carefully, then they're solving a problem.
People, yeah, I have a slight disagreement. I think
Oh,
people
good. All right.
people people don't mind being sold to. They just want to be sold well. And
That's
that
fair.
well part, and again, another little disagreement is that takes some technique. My story of somebody converting me to buy this necklace, this brand, because I study and specialize in high ticket sales in retail, and it's not the pain point. It's the salesperson did not make an association um, with me. For them, if you're in a retail jewelry business, and for you, you should know how to match this necklace with the attire that person has, right? So miss that point. That
No,
is a technique.
I think you're 100% right, and I apologize that I
No,
was looking,
no
I was
need
looking
to
to a different.
apologize. We're
No, no,
discussing.
but I think that what you brought up is really interesting. Is how to create a demand, how to create. I
Mhm.
mean, people don't realize we call it a pain point, but it's, and the word pain is very powerful. But that person created something, a pain point for you. The person, you didn't even realize that was something,
Yeah.
and so they turned the pain into a want, and that's a technique. I agree with you. That is a technique,
Mhm.
and that's how you sell a higher ticket item. Obviously,
Mhm.
clearly, because how many people need another necklace, another shirt, another, another.
There's no pain point here.
But what you do is you created a pain point for them, and you have the solution. And I
Mhm.
think that's a question of listening, and it's cues and it's questions. But that's what it is like, how do you sell more necklaces in a world where people have so many necklaces? And so you're creating a pain point, and the pain point could just simply be, this doesn't fit your out. You don't have anything to fit this outfit. To, don't you want to be part of the crowd?
Yeah.
And it just, but it's always back to What are you solving? Even, I tell my students, a Mont Blanc pen, right? Why a Mont Blanc pen? I can go to the dollar store and buy pens. I can go to Staples and buy pens. Why do I want a Mont Blanc pen? What pain point am I solving? It writes. It's the old, it's the Wolf of Wall Street. Sell me this pen. Well, what pain point am I solving with a Mont Blanc pen?
Mhm,
And the pain point at that point is success.
mhm,
I want to demonstrate success to my clients. How do I do that? That's the pain point. A Mont Blanc pen oozes success.
mhm,
And so when I have that and I give it to another client, say, here, sign with this pen, they think I'm a successful lawyer because I have a Mont Blanc pen. It's just part, again, of going back to
For
solving.
me, for me, it's not this, you know, not, yeah, it is buying access because people pick signals from you.
Sure,
So buying
100%.
you access to a certain group of people. So that's the target audience. Yeah, I coach business owners on value proposition. So one of the yeah, they asked me how you find your target customers, and yeah, one of the techniques is buying access. If you do not have access to a certain group, and you need to find your way to buy into it. So
Oh, listen, we've got all these, these, look, we've got, as you can see, folks, we got a lot of insight and we have a
mhm,
lot of information. And as we wrap up this episode, the whole notion of uncovering the pain point. I'm either going to do my homework and I'm going to do my research, whether it's formal or ask the client, or I'm going to try. I'm just going to buy my way in to figure out what my solution is going to be. At the end of the day, you got to put a circle in a circle and a square in a square. You can't put a circle in a square. It doesn't work. Okay. You could try to force it. And that's what a lot of business owners tend to do, Jennifer, is they try to force their solution on people, but there's no fit. And you got to find the fit. The first step to this explosive growth that we've talked about, find the product or the service with the pain point, with the people that want it, need it,
mhm,
crave
mhm,
it, chase it,
mhm,
or
mhm,
create that. In this case, with the necklace, you're creating that need so that they can buy from you.
yeah.
So, Jennifer, any last words of wisdom before we wrap up this episode?
Um, just I would say just keep on going because your passion, is totally worth it. Um, and for some people, like if you don't know how to do it, or you wanted somebody to do it with you or do it for you, like come to us. Or you wanted to do it yourself, but there are certain things you're not clear about, and come to us. Let's discuss.
Absolutely. And folks, we're available as you if you see in our here in this channel, we have plenty of ways of you reaching us. Our information is all here. We're here to help you. We're here to share with you our experiences and our knowledge. Don't hesitate. Ask questions. Reach out. We've between us, we've got many decades of experience in sales and marketing on a global scale. And if you heard our first episode, there's a lot of street cred here between Jennifer and myself on not just in
Take
sales and
credit.
marketing. You definitely have the street credit. So, folks, listen, this is what you're going to get from other future episodes. All this insight, experiences, and we really drill down to the point to try to help you unblock and just blow off the ceiling so that you can have explosive growth. Jennifer, I
Yes.
think we should say goodbye to our friends. And until next time, until
Yeah.
our next
Until
episode,
next time, keep
absolutely
going.
keep going. Great advice. Have yourself a wonderful day.